Okay, so what am I doing right now? Doing some programming. It might not be strictly Qt related. I'm doing a bit of memory management in a system, and I'm basically allocating a bunch of stuff, which I haven't gotten to yet, and I'm determining which indices have been allocated based on a bit set. I think. I don't know. I just wrote the bit set. I figured it might be worth it to show what's happening. I'm getting linker errors at the moment, though, so I think I need to add some dummy implementations here. Grab this. Hope everyone's having a happy day indoors or wherever you might be. Those sounds are my dog. He's scratching his face. Okay, I should be able to build now. Oh, right. Oops. Is that what I called it? Yes, and it needs a semicolon. I try to turn the warnings up as hard as they'll go. It's just something that it's a good thing to get in the habit of, because you never know. You never know who you're going to add to the project. And if the project is squeaky clean with warnings and it throws errors when warnings show up, oops, then you know you don't have to worry about hunting down other people's warnings that they introduced. Which people do. It's nothing wrong with it necessarily. It's just, not really fair. If you have to take care of their work for them, they don't finish their work. People do that. Let's see. So that's good. So what I was working on last is I'm trying to figure out, I just wrote this bit set class. I have a dog next to me. I just wrote this bit set class, and I'm trying to allocate randomly sized objects into a buffer. Trying to think of the best way to manage this. I think, so I have a budget, and basically I can reach the budget well before I reach the max size, the max number of components that I can have. But I am going to have a max number of components. Cool. Oh, right. It doesn't like it because it's a... Wait. Okay, but that's fine. It's nearly the same thing. Let's see. I'm going to have to open the sheet.cpp and start implementing this stuff. There's a fly in the house and my dog is just going totally crazy for it. It's really cute. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to get my phone so I can keep an eye on the chat, if there is a chat at all. I'll be right back. Right, boy. Release. Sorry about that. Those. No phone. Okay, I'm back. And cool. I'm live streaming. And there are 0 people watching, and that's about what I expected. But this isn't necessarily always for live, I guess. Let's see. And I tend to get a little OCD with like lining this stuff up. But I think it's better to be more OCD than not when it comes to this stuff. And just so that there's some context for what I'm doing here, I'm writing some music software similar to Max, or basically the concept is similar to Max. It's very similar to Max, but I want to offer higher level abstractions and a more, I guess, professional feeling learning curve, similar to something like Photoshop, which is ridiculous sounding, I know, or like Blueprint in Unreal or something like that. That would be really nice to give people tools that allow them to be creative and in this sort of flow state. My complaint with a lot of audio software is that it doesn't allow you to be, it has a lot of little just things that are frustrating and keep you out of the flow state. And I'd like to get around those sorts of things. As an example, like Photoshop will allow you to play with the colors and adjust things and be a part of that process with you. But when you're working with music and audio, a lot of the time what you're doing is you're typing things into a piano roll. And it's kind of like editing a spreadsheet. It's not very creative. And when you're sitting down at like an instrument and playing, you're not saying like, I'm going to press C and E and G, and I'm going to press them each this hard. It's kind of data sparse. When you're playing an instrument, it's data dense. Your hands just kind of do what they do. But when you're using a computer, it's highly data sparse. And there are ways around that. If you've ever used Guitar Pro software for writing tablature, you can write tablature extremely fast, and that's because it's very data dense when you input it. When you input the data, you're putting in rhythm and notes and strings and everything all at the same time. And the cost to that is, I guess, flexibility. You know, you're limited in the same ways that a guitar is limited, but you also are editing much, much faster than you could on a piano roll, for example. So that's kind of, I don't know, the guiding principle here is very fast and creative workflow, something that's better than what a lot of the other softwares have done. And it's really just a pet project. I don't expect to be able to compete in this space, so I'm just playing with it anyway. I will be allocating some memory now. Let's see. So I have some backing, and that's cool. And then I'll have I need to write an allocator for any of this to work. I'm not going to worry about that quite yet, I think. I don't think I need the num components necessarily. What I'm going to do is add the bit set, though. A lot of this project has just been writing little tiny tools. Just making sure everything works well together. I've been writing all this just on my own without, what am I doing? Without using hardly any of the standard library. I've been avoiding using the standard library for this because the standard library doesn't really care about temporal locality or anything like that. I do need some backing for this bit set. How large should that be? It should be kmax components shifted by 3. That's divided by 8. And then I'll init with backing my bitset backing. Cool. Very nice. And I'm going to make this a little more consistent. Cool. Cool. Very cool. And that's just to keep track of if we delete something, we can place it in the next available space in memory. I need to do a little bit more with that bit set. Yeah, I'll have to do that. And to do this. And I'll have to do this. Yeah, very nice. And those will be nice little functions to have. And it would be really nice to implement an iterator. Of sorts. I might do that in a few minutes, but for now I'm going to do this. And I've never done this before, so we'll see if there's like a trick or something I can use. I don't know. Let's just Google it and see if anyone else has a clever way to do this. Ugh. I always trust people with lots of colors. I'm sure the guy has good information, but yeah, you could do a while loop. And do it recursively. It's like a a special algorithm. That's all right. Another recursive approach. Lookup table. Lookup table is another way to do it. It's probably the fastest, but it's 256 times 2. It's a half a kilobyte just for that lookup table. I mean, I don't know. That's a bit much, in my opinion. I'm going to try this. This thing. Is it? Yeah. That's what it says. I don't really get it, but I'll trust it. Whatever. It'll be a good idea to leave a comment. Let myself know where I got it from in case it starts breaking. I can say, oh yeah, you should know better. Okay. Whoops! Demonetized. God bless it. Didn't mean to do that. Making all kinds of silly mistakes. My dog almost caught a bird. And yeah, instead of this get first unset index, I think I'm going to implement like standard iterators. Let's see, I'll do that up here. Because it doesn't really make sense to have like an actual iterator, so they're all just going to be const iterators. So all I'm doing is going to get you the value of the index, and it might as well, they might as well be grouped together, I think. Put a little, I don't know why I did that. I guess this isn't really clear. My thinking was that I'd want to use iterators to jump through all of the set indices. I'm also going to want to find unset indices. Maybe I could have a something like that. It still won't work with like a standard for loop. Let me look at how those work, because I haven't used them in a while. With iterator. No. Range-based for loop, and also standard for each. Dangus. It's a bit much. So it does have to be begin and end and all that stuff. And I can't have like specialized iterators for different contexts of looping. Poo. Poopy doopy. Well, it's kind of abstract anyway. It's not going to work. I think just getting the first unset one is going to be the most useful for now. This is totally not the most efficient way to do this, but you know, you can always come back. This is really about just standing this up. Cool. So the way it's going to work is it's going to run through each of the bytes, and inside of each of the bytes, it's going to run through each of the bits, and it's going to check each of the bits right here, and it's going to increment the count if it doesn't find it, and if it does find it, it returns the count. And if it doesn't find anything, it returns -1. Boom. Very cool. Well, hold on. That's backwards. I think that'll do it. And I'll have to add some more parentheses because the bitwise and, because the comparators have a higher precedence than bitwise and for some reason. Anyway, let's do a little buildy boy, see what happens. Come back to my sheet. Oh, geez, why did I name this source.cpp? Silly. I might cut it off here. Make sure I don't have any errors. Looks good to me. I'm done.